welcome to Block Party. I'm your host, Mike Wahle. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit the subscribe button, review us, rate us, all that kind of stuff on the YouTube channel, Process to Perform. Thank you again for Andy Herman putting on the Packer Day podcast so we can get some more viewership out there, reach some more fans. This is an interesting week for both teams. The Giants are facing the Green Bay Packers are facing the New York Football Giants, and both teams are in a state of disarray. Let's start with the Green Bay Packers, and look, we addressed it on the post game. The post-game show after the 10-7 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, in which, two good football teams with offenses that are still trying to figure out their identity. I think the Green Bay Packers defense played exceptional. Unfortunately, I think that was matched by how poorly executed some of the plays were by the Packers offense. Individuals make up a team. Individual performances have a direct effect on a team. If you don't play well at certain positions, it is going to have a dramatic effect on the output. Out of that, unfortunately, because we have 24/7 news cycles and ESPN and First Take and social media and Twitter experts and all the gamut, there are just loaded questions about job descriptions, job performance. Should people be able to maintain their position within the organization, not only as players but as coaches? What does that all look like? And look, the only thing I will say is, context really matters in these situations. We are very fortunate as the Green Bay Packers family to not have an owner or to have the structure that we have. Not every owner is watching Twitter or listening to whatever's being said on ESPN, but a lot of them are. Not everybody is engaging with the fan base and making bad decisions based off that instead of what they understand to see on the field or being described to by the people that they entrust and pay salary to give them that information, but they do. So I think we're very fortunate to be in that situation. And because of that, I think you probably have some leeway to work through some of these issues, which for me, that's what it is. Are there structural changes that I think are required in order to become a Super Bowl favorite, just based on what we see week in and week out from the results of what I think are structural changes required from a preparation standpoint? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you can probably go to each room and go, yes, no, and what, if you were an outside consultant. But we're still 5-3-1, so playoffs are still certainly within the scope of the ability of this team. And listen, you have a couple games where you turn it around, you get 35 points a game. All of a sudden you go, oh man, I feel a lot better about this. The defense is playing well. And I think that's the thing that we have to focus on is, guys, remember 4 years ago? Before Halfley got here? Remember what everybody was saying about the defense? Look at the defense now. Like, it's a legitimately good defense. We got Micah Parsons in. I think everybody that they've drafted the last couple of years is starting to contribute. And I mean, yes, could you add some more pieces to the defensive line? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, is there a question mark with the Nate Hobbs thing? Absolutely fair. It's all fair, right? But like, this is a pretty damn good defense. It's been put together well, and it's being coached really, really well. So I think that gets you a lot further. I know it's easy to focus on, obviously, with the offensive-minded head coach who's a play caller. It's easy to focus on the offense. That's what we do on this show, probably more often than not, just because I was an offensive player. But like, I never got to play with a defense as good as the Green Bay Packers have right now while I was in Green Bay. I actually had to go to Carolina to find that. And we went to the NFC Championship because our defense was so damn good. So that matters. And if you can get that, I think with the offensive weapons you have, we can put this thing together a little bit tighter, run a little bit tighter ship on offense. We're going to really be able to. I think in the locker room they're going to feel really good about their ability to make a deep playoff run. Now, the New York Football Giants they just blew up the franchise. Now, I want to preface everything by saying this: Jackson Dart's out. Now, whose fault that is? He has had 4 concussion tests. I think 3 concussions. He's out for this week. Cam Scadaboo is out. He's a running back. Running backs get hurt. Shit happens. It was terrible injury. Hate to see it. Love watching the guy. Love watching both those guys. I love the way they interact. I love just the youthful enthusiasm that dude has. He's gnarly. Fun watch. Malik Neighbors is one of the better young wide receivers in the National Football League. Might be the best young wide receiver in the National Football League, and he's out. Oh, by the way, they fired Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll was 9-7-1. rookie year, coach of the year. Bad football team, good coach. I love Joe Shane. I love Joe Shane. The next couple of years, they didn't have a great roster. He goes 6-11, 3-14, and now they're 2-8 with all those guys hurt. And it's like you're out. Now, if you watch the tape, which we're going to do right now, you're going to say, man, a lot of this looks difficult or a little bit predictable, a little bit not using maybe enough indicators for your young quarterback or situations to put him in with easy wins, some deeper routes, a lot of deeper stuff where you got to rely on the either the athleticism of the quarterback or your ability of your offensive line to hold up. And I think that's all fair. But I mean, I just, the thing that's always frustrating about this coaching thing, where you're talking about LaFleur, you're talking about Daboll, it's like, how many good coaches do you guys think there are out there? Like we've seen these examples of guys who are maybe cognitively awesome and emotionally insufficient, or vice versa. Or there's like, how hard it is to lead a group like that, a group of men in that situation, in that time of their lives, with that opportunity in that environment. Like, it's just, maybe he's not the right guy. I don't live in New York. I don't follow the team that much, but it always gives you pause, because everything that I've ever heard about that guy is that he's a damn good football coach. So anyhow, their offense is primitive. One of these things we start talking about, okay, what are the issues and why is Jameis Winston by stop the presses? I can't wait to watch him. I don't care. I know Green Bay, I'm rooting for you guys. I love watching Jameis Winston, man. He was, remember, 30 for 30 guy, right? 30 picks, 30 touchdowns in 1 year, man. He said he had to get contacts. Unbelievable. They are primitive. Like, their wide receivers aren't looking for hot checks. They average 21 and a half points per game. They're good for 24th in the league. 24 is kind of what you need. 27, it feels pretty good. They're 21. They're bottom 4 in red zone scoring. They're 123 yards a game rushing. I think that's gone down since Scadaboo left, but you'd have to check me on that. But they're just outside the top 10. Here's the thing you're going to find about them. We're going to know some of their guys. I'll show you on tape, but they've got one good offensive lineman, I think, and he does a great job play side and backside. But you're going to find that we probably match up well with the other 4 guys, particularly at the center position if they're bringing in a backup. They run a lot of under-center zone stuff because it helps with their play action. I don't know if it's going to be the same again with Jameis Winston. I like their tight end. I do think that I wrote this down. Well, I'll show you on tape. It's a shame that Russell Wilson's not getting a chance to play for us. And defensively, let's just get it real quick. 27. They're giving up 27 points per game. This is actually really surprising because they have drafted and brought in free agents extremely well on the defensive line. You look at their defensive line matched up with literally anybody in the league, maybe not named Philly. They've got Dexter Lawrence, best nose tackle in the National Football League. They've got Brian Burns, who came over from Carolina, one of the better pass rushers, edge players in the league. They've got Kevon Thibodeau, who is like a speed rusher out of Oregon a couple of years ago. He's kind of I got balloons going everywhere. His hand signals are. Wait a second. If I do that, oh no. Well, there you go. Learn something new every day. They got Kevon Thibodeau out of Oregon, speed rusher, not as many moves. This kid, Abdul Carter out of Penn State, he is legit. He can move. I had to do some work on him earlier this year. He can move. This guy can play. The guys that I talk to say he's the best one of the group. He is a guy that is going to become a game wrecker in this league. Hopefully he's not there yet. For whatever reason with that, and they've got a Kirike in 58 at the linebacker level. They've got some dudes that can play in the National Football League. But for whatever reason, they're not getting the pressure on tape that you'd expect. 1 and 2, like they give up 152 yards per game rushing, 5.5 yards per carry. That's second to last and dead ass last in the National Football League. I don't understand it. Part of it's probably because what happened to the Giants a couple of weeks ago, but against the Eagles, excuse me. But good Lord, I'll show it right now. They had 2 tackles for loss the entire game last week. The entire 2 tackles for loss. Only one in the run game, and it's just, you're just going, what? That's impossible with that defensive line. They're 30th in takeaways per game. So for whatever reason, it's not clicking. And having said all that, struggling on offense, struggling on defense, it's like you get rid of Dayball, they bring in Mike Kafka, he's the offensive coordinator. Does that become a better situation for them? Has he been kind of on a leash because of Dayball? Are they going to change? Or something dramatically going to change with how they're going to run the offense with Jameis Winston, or because of Mike Kafka? That all is interesting to see. I'm going to show you what we have on tape from last week. You guys check this out. We'll get back to a little brief wrap up at the end. All right, so the first thing you're going to notice about this Giants defense, man, they've stacked defensive line. So they've got Abdul Carter, the first-round pick this year. He is the most talented of the bunch, quite frankly, and I'll show you a little bit why here. But Brian Burns, incredible player from Carolina, came over free agency a couple of years ago. Obviously, Kayvon Thibodeau was the first-round draft pick out of Oregon. He's a more linear player, not quite as shifty as the other two, but he can get off the ball with the best of them. And they got Dexter Lawrence inside. Incredible athlete. They've been playing Darius Alexander 91 and then rotating him with 95. Their other starting D tackle is out on injury. So what's surprising about this team, as we talked about it before, their stats just don't back up kind of the talent that they have, particularly up front. I'm going to show you, and to kind of make a point, like I'm going to show you their 2 tackles for loss against the Bears. They had 2 tackles for loss, 1 in the run game. So here it is, fake little running back screen. Brian Burns gets off the tackle, makes a play. That's one of their tackles for loss for like -2 yards. And so here's the other one on 3rd and 1. You go through these plays sometimes, you just don't realize, like, how did you not get more than 2 tackles for loss in an entire football game? 1 in the run game. That's crazy. And the Bears line is playing better, but I mean, look at this lineup. I mean, you got the back offset. You're in jumbo personnel, jumbo 13 here. Right, which I love, by the way. It's fantastic. But there's nothing else they can do, really, but hand this ball. They could quick pitch it, but you got 2 outside leverage. Like, there's really only one thing you can do out of this play, particularly where they got this this tight end landed at the bottom of the screen. So, the whole thing's wild. And they only really get it because the slant by the 3 technique on the down block hits the center, so he can't get up to the second level. But my point is, like, they make a play here, but there's just not a lot of plays being made. They're giving up a lot of yards in the run game. It's not good football right now. We got 1st and 10. They're going to play man coverage here across the board, and they're going to try to, I think, double the Doonsies. They got man, really a double with man here and here. They're mugging up this linebacker, and if they do this versus the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love doesn't run like Caleb Williams ran here, like, something's wrong. Because I hate when linebackers run up and engage the center and then expect that they're just going to, like, they have some sort of tracking power. And this is Okereke, 58, is going to try to track him down. Like, no way, man. It's a huge play in the football game, too. And you sure as hell hope that they kind of make that decision. Anytime you play man, first of all, if they decide to play man against us, which they might because we got so many people out, our top 3 receivers or I should say top 3 of our top receivers are out: Tucker Kraft, Matthew Golden, and Jin Reed. Or I don't know if Golden's going to be out this week. You would think they'd try to continue to play some of this man coverage. It really plays in my opinion, with Matt LaFleur. With if you're going to use the shifts, the bunch releases, the stack releases, all of that stuff, like, this is the time to use it. Try to get them in those situations where they have to sort and they have to make call changes during the play. Now, I want you to watch 51 over here, Carter. I just think he's a special player. I had to do some homework on him earlier in the season, and yeah, he can scoot. What I love about him. And he shows it here. He gets stuck. He gets kind of washed down. But watch, and this is very, very rare for these guys. Like, watch the ability to get upfield, and then he does a little body feint, but he gets horizontal to vertical as well as anybody. And really, when you start differentiating pass rushers, it's the guys who have the ability not to just stutter through here and then try to take an edge. It's the guys that can get upfield and go bang, bang, horizontal to vertical, or get upfield and go body feint all the way out here and then get back to vertical and run the line. The guys that can do that give elite level tackles and guards problems. Bang, bang, gets inside with the arm over, ends up getting washed, but you get my point. Don't love what he's doing here, though. He doesn't love what he's doing there. We got a 1st and 10 look, and we're in a bunch down low, down beneath. I love this play. First of all, let's just start pre-snap. So they go bunch, and he doesn't look like he can go backside. In other words, if they're going to just run split flow, if this is one of the checks, then that would throw me off, right? You got Burns out here somehow getting stacked against because they got a tight end outside, so they got Burns out here in space where he is not his best. They're going to go motion across. And this is going to look like some sort of like counter lead play, except for they're going to log 93. They're going to now bubble around and block the corner. And because this running back is going downhill with a bounce, it sucks in this safety for an easy crack block. All these people are going down this way. Reads, and it just gets bounced out. This is a beautiful play design. As the Packers are game planning, this is one of the things that's really interesting. One of the things you got to love about Ben Johnson. You see it here. Watch how Cole Kmet coming across. That's a kick out block, right? Nope. He's going to log, and all he's doing is slowing down and letting the guy do what he wants to do anyway, which is crash down that hole. When the Packers are putting together plays, this is one of the things you love about Ben Johnson is this is manufactured yards. Now, will this work every time? No, but it works once. And for one play, gets you 20 yards. Like, when's the last time Josh Jacobs got 20 yards and it looked this easy, right? Like, they don't have to. Nobody in here has to win for this play to work. It'd be nice if they do, don't get me wrong, but you're just going to see this, right? All you got to have is this guy coming across and log block somebody who wants to squeeze anyways and then run around in a corner. And all they did from a Bears perspective is they watched film and they said, you know what? We know this guy likes to fill. He's real nosy. So if we show this counter play, he's going to fill this space anyways. As you can see, there's space here to be filled, right? He's going to get nosy. And when he gets nosy, we'll just crack him. And now we're out the gate because we got our tight end on a corner who doesn't want to take on that block. So down. It's fantastic. Awesome way to manufacture yards. We got a 3rd and 10 play. I show this play for 2 reasons. The escapability, the first reason is really once he escapes, you see the Bears' vision here is not on this guy, right? So this is what they call, we want to plaster these guys. They do a nice job here, actually. We want to plaster these guys so they can't get free when the quarterback releases out of the pocket. They don't do that. Caleb Williams is turning into a really good quarterback. He can make these plays. Both the release from the pocket and the release of the football are amazing here. The other thing is, I'm an offensive lineman. I love how this guy's getting to be better and better and better. Coming out of, I think it was Tennessee, man. A real great prospect. He's 358 pounds or something like that. Maybe that's why he's 58 jersey. But he came out and he could still move and bend at that size at an elite level. So Brian Burns is off the tape, off the screen here. And he's going to end up catching him with his left hand and put him on the ground. But that's not the good part. So that happens right there. That's fantastic. And the fact that you do that one arm is amazing, right? This is the good part. Watch him now. He's like, is he helping him up? He helps him up. And then it's like, I guess I'll block you again. Like, in high school, or I go on my Instagram feed and like rivals.com has some kid like sumo splashing that guy and like breaking his leg. And then this guy who could actually break the guy's hip just lets him up, Awesome. I love it. All right, we got empty. We got 2 up top. He's going in motion. We're going to do a little shallow cross here. So they're just going to run up and then up, over. They got the shallow cross. They're going to sit down because it's zone. Clear out here. They chip out on the way, I think, with the tight end. I think they might even get – no, they don't get a 3rd guy out or 4th guy out. So great route combination for this, two deep zone defense. You see their motion. They really want to take, they, just like we just saw with the Eagles, right? Everybody, they are super aware of the deep action here. It opens up the middle of the field. You got to really win with your eyes, and obviously has a check down here, and then not a check down, but a shallow cross there, and then the deep dig. The other thing I want to show is Caleb Williams here. Caleb Williams, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plant, hitch, go. Okay, he throws this ball, and this is what we talk about with Jordan Love and his footwork. Sometimes throws him open. Also has this guy here, but he's 1 to 2. Okay, on time, on rhythm, throwing the guy open. That is a fantastic job. It's going to end up being a somewhat tight window because of this player. And this is some of the footwork stuff that, as you watch guys progress, you really want to take note. We showed this in the post game show. We talked about, at least in the post game show, of there are times in the game where we're missing out on some throws just because of the footwork. I know this is a Giants defense thing, but we're always talking ball. Always talking ball. Okay, so we put this play in, and I'll show you the end zone too, but look at the gap here and look at the gap here. So they got 5 offensive linemen in the game. This is a tight end, so they're in 11 personnel, all right? But this 51 has no idea how to play this. This play doesn't really work except for the fact that this fella and this fella run into each other, and so they end up getting like a 10-yard run. That's not really the point here. The point is, look what Ben Johnson and the offensive staff are doing by creating the splits. And like, if you're just, so let's say you're just running zone. So you got 3 on 1, 2, 3 up to here. Look how far backside, if I just draw a straight line, look how far backside out leveraged this linebacker is because of the split. Look how easy this angle is to cut this off before, if we're going outside. Like if you want to run that middle outside zone stuff. Like this, we always talk about it in our shows, is how these splits create opportunities because they create natural lanes. This is excessive, but something you got to always think about. Terrible missed tackle, of course. DeAndre Swift's a great running back, but Jesus, come on. Look at it from this perspective. Look at what it does. Like, Abdul Carter's like, where the hell do you want me to line up? I should be lined up like the guy should be. The guy should be right here. Guard should be here, but because of this, he's going, hey, where are you going to line up? I don't know. It's tough. So putting in these wrinkles, regardless if it's personnel, if it's by formation, like maybe getting out. I don't like, yes, there's some gimmick stuff here, and this one ends up working, and maybe it doesn't give you a reason to use it. But thinking outside the box is something that's a fun thought experiment when things aren't going well, particularly in the run game. We got 1st and 10 under center. We got jumbo 13 personnel, so you have an extra tight end here. Extra tight end, or jumbo tight end, okay? Love this personnel. This is my favorite package. You can call this, jumbo 22 if you got a fullback instead of one of those tight ends. But what they're going to do, and why I put this play in, the Giants just do a terrible job of adjusting here, okay? So they went to a 3-by-1 to a 2-by-2. These guys are still over here. Maybe they want to bring down this safety in the hole. They've got 2 outside leverage out here. This player right here does not move. And they do not bring down the safety as an overhang. So as of right now, I can crack this player. You got a corner playing off. I've got free access basically to turn this into a very, very easy wash with my tight end and 358-pound right tackle. And it doesn't get any, if they're not going to make this adjustment, it doesn't get any easier than this for that tight end. That's an easy a combination block as you're going to get. All right, we talked about the Giants offense. Let's just start with, I think we said it already, Malik Neighbors out. Cam Scadaboo out. Jackson Dart out. I think their center's out now. They're going to be starting Austin Schlottman, I believe. Up front, they've got Andrew Thomas, 78. He's a good football player playing at left tackle. Great hips, backside. I think he does a really good job. They got John Runyon Jr. We know we can appreciate the work he did for Green Bay and also realize that we're probably better at the defensive tackle position than he is at the left guard position. Greg Van Roten, same thing. We can appreciate the time that what he's done in the league, and also think that Devontae White and company are going to be a matchup that we favor. They've got Jermaine Elumanor, 72, who just looked so out of place in this game. I don't know if he always plays this way. I haven't done a deep dive on Jermaine, but I feel really good about that matchup, both in the run and the pass game, particularly in the run game versus Rashawn Gary, who I think is a very physical run player. They have to be somewhat. They just look a little bit primitive. I said it before. Some of the wide receivers just aren't ready for like hot reads and just little stuff. I'll show you here. There's not a very physical football team, up front, and it's obviously reflected in. They are running the football a lot. I think a lot of their physicality came from the running back in Scadaboo. They have a change of pace guy. I do think that Tyron Tracy Jr. is a good football player. We've seen this before. You get it under center, you run this. We did this last week. You run this kind of to the tight end, outside zone, but neither they go split flow. You see, just if I freeze frame it, which always makes things worse. I get it, but look, he's getting jacked up. We're fighting each other here. 44's got all he wants. We're not in a great position, here as far as going sideways, not getting our shoulders up. So we like all these matchups right now if we're on defense. Not physical at the point of attack over here. The only guy that really gets a good job done consistently on this team is Andrew Thomas in the run game. Now we just go same thing, other side. We're going to go open side here, but we got that pistol turnaround. Here's why I don't like the pistol run. You are 7.5 yards from the line of scrimmage, maybe 8 yards from the line of scrimmage, depending on where these guys line up, okay? They're going to get a backside run through here. So you have this bubble, you have this guard bubble or this 2-eye where you get the good combo up. Like, you feel good about this block. You got to get through here. Obviously, they're stepping to win here. We're talking about middle linebacker for the Chicago Bears. Like, he sees something that he likes. At handoff, when he knows the ball's going to be hiked, you are still 5 to 6 yards away from the line of scrimmage. And now everything just has to happen a lot faster. These guys aren't, you don't see guys reading on these outside zones laterally as much anymore. You see one guy always taking a shot. And part of it's just because they're splitting the win and they're seeing this on tape. But part of it's because, particularly when you're in pistol, you're another yard away from the line of scrimmage. It just takes you that much longer to get there. So angles work. And I'll show you this from this angle. Andrew Thomas, for guys, why do I like him? Watch the hips on contact. Very unique. I think, at least to this football team. Bang, you see the hips, and he can drive. And we know kind of what John Runyon Jr. and company bring to the table here. We're going to see the backside. This is always frustrating. So they actually do a pretty decent job here of getting a little bit of movement. What's crazy is Van Roten, he keeps his outside arm free. Like, you did everything right. Your outside arm's free. You're on the right track. And you just have to release and go. I don't know if he's being held here. This run-through is way too easy. Ends up making the play, for a, what is that, a no gain, 1 yard gain, whatever. We've got a 4th and 2 play here. And this is kind of, you start looking at, like, what are the problems with the offense, et cetera, et cetera. Is this, the play calling is how responsible is Dable in some of this stuff versus all the injuries they've had, situations they've been put in. They kind of get what they want here. For whatever reason, this guy's way off target. And so they end up getting a natural pick, and this player's going to end up in the flat open. But unfortunately, 72, I don't know what play he thinks it is, but he rips underneath and then comes flat and then realizes it's a pass, has to get back to the line of scrimmage. So now you got 29 having to fight 44 and the defensive end and creating a problem. They're going to end up getting a sack on a 4th and 2. Just rewind it. Watch 72 here. It goes underneath, rips through. I don't know why. And then now he's realizing, like, oh, shit, I'm past the line of scrimmage. Now, he could throw the ball, and the problem is you got 2 outside, you got a free rusher. Problems, man. A lot of this stuff's execution. It's crazy. It's crazy how sloppy football is now. We saw this last weekend or last Monday night. It's crazy how sloppy football is. Like, it's everybody makes a mental error. But like if you said, hey, Mike, how many mental errors did you make a game? Like you don't count it per game. You'd count it per season. I mean, I'm not me, anybody, but it seems like now it's like there's multiple mental errors every single game. We got a 2nd and 10 play. They got their 2x2 with their 12 personnel. They motion over. And this play's just got, if you're Dayball and you're sitting at home now, and I don't think they have the same kind of clauses in their contracts like these college guys do with the buyouts and shit. I don't know. But if I'm Dayball, I'm like, just, can we just throw this guy the ball? So they've got more than we can block. We're going to block down here. We got block. Actually, we don't have more than we can block. I shouldn't say that. But this guy's coming free. Replace the pressure with the ball, and everything's going to look fantastic. And instead, he ends up taking the sack. He doesn't even see him. And you just see up here, it's like, he's up jumping up and up. Shit. He's jumping up and down going, Jesus H, can I just get the ball right now? So, again, I think 72, I think this side of the offensive line is just something you want to attack because you'll watch this play. I'll show it from the other angle. Actually, it'll be better. All right, so if you look at it from this angle, 84 is in, and listen, you've got 4 guys or 3.5. If you want to count the tight end as a half guy, he's going to bang out. Really to cover if they're sliding here or to the edge. There's a guy on the line of scrimmage out here. You got 1, you got 2, 3, and then 4 on the line of scrimmage. Or if you're saying, hey, he's deep, he's not coming, you got the 3 guys. Somebody's got to be kicking out, whether it's 72 or 84, to the guy screaming off the backside here. And for whatever reason, they make a mistake and they get their quarterback hit. And for a team that's got a quarterback who's been in the concussion protocol deal or the tent 4 times, it's like, how did you screw this up? Now, I'll say this, 84, he knocked the shit out of 91 here. Oh, I mean, and for you guys who are playing at home, you get a star when you do this usually, unless you make a mental error. Look at that. Tough sport. All right, so they bring their guys in here. They go 12. They're going to go under center. This reeks of play action pass, right? This reeks of play action pass. They're going to run kind of the Yankee concept a little bit different. So they're going to go in. Instead of going straight, they're going to go in and bend this back out, bring him all the way across, and then bring the back out of the backfield and really create a flood concept here out of what usually looks you run straight and then bring this guy under like that route combination that everybody's using. Great 2-man route, really. So I think they're going to bang out here with the tight ends. Under center play action. Do a pretty good job here. Didn't notice this before. The center does a little whoop-de-doo here because they don't pick up the TE very well. Yeah, whoop-de-doo. Okay. But they got 2 guys open on the back side of this. And again, nice little wrinkle. For me, this is just a nice little wrinkle bringing this back out while you're bringing this guy. So, if you got eyes here, and you got eyes here, there's nobody else to cover. So, fantastic play design. We know Jameis Winston's going to be able to make that throw. We've got a 3rd and 6 play here. They're just running a stick with like a backside, like a 10-yard in, basic. And they're trying to capture the attention of this linebacker, this player. They're going to run a little corner, probably stick it up right here, and then they're just going to run away from this corner, who's probably playing zone because you see the too high look, and find this nice little pocket. And there it is. Look, Slayton and Robinson's 18 and 17. They can get open. They just don't have that guy. Now you just throw the ball up. Malik Neighbors goes and gets it. They just don't have that. And, Jameis Winston, that 30-30 club, very exclusive, right? 30 touchdowns, 30 picks. He will put the ball in the air. There are opportunities to be had on both, from both teams' perspective. Gun, you got bunch up top. They run these deep. This is the other thing about the Giants that was kind of surprising to me, given the fact that I don't know how good their offensive line is. It's certainly better than it has been in years past. But then Jackson Dart being hit so often, I think part of that's his play style. But they are running a lot of kind of deeper stuff here deeper crossing, deeper. These plays take a long time. He's going to have to actually exit the pocket and make this play towards the sideline. But this is just generally not one of those plays where you're going like, we're going to throw this ball on a 5 hitch. Like, this is going to take a minute to clear all the way over. They got a deep route. They got their check down on the other side. But this is a fantastic throw. Is Jameis this nimble? Is he able to throw on the run like this? I haven't seen it in a while. It'll be interesting to see what he can do. It's always a dangerous team when you got a new guy calling the plays and a new quarterback, particularly when that quarterback has shown to be successful in this league. I put this in. I think these guys do initially a pretty good job with their doubles. The problem comes when sustaining those blocks inside, and this is not to pick on anybody, but you kind of feel good if you're watching this and you're you have Devontae Wyatt, for example, and then they line up and they're going to get this little combo block up here, and then as soon as F78 releases, that means John Runyon Jr.'s got to stick on this block, and I just don't know. I think that was one of kind of the hang-ups he had with him here is as they go through this, I just don't know if he can sustain this block. Right here, you've won. All you got to do is like accelerate your feet and run through. I just don't know that he can do that. And so you kind of fall off and make a couple of these tackles. Now, granted, this is downfield. This is a 7-yard run or a 6-yard run, but I watch film and I go, okay, I feel good about my ability to release from this combo block after 70 gets off. So what is that? What is the other thing that maybe part of that conversation, knowing that Quay and Cooper like to kind of shoot their guns, right? The faster we turn these into singles, whether it's by shooting the gap or by the defensive tackle attacking a man and not allowing himself to be doubled, that could kind of prove valuable. Those ideas could prove valuable in this game. Okay, 3rd and 7, bunch look. You wish he was playing because you just saw, if anybody watched when he came in the game last week, the whole sideline kind of, you just saw everybody just exhaled. Like, it just wasn't what they're looking for. And, for a guy who's been in the league this long, they've got, let me do that again. They've got guys coming, I think, seven rushers. They got a guy coming off this edge that the running back's going to block, and they only got 6 blockers. So, and 72, to his credit, is going like, hey, nobody's got the widest guy. You're on your own. Russell Wilson's a vet, blah, 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 blah. And when does he realize that he's going to get smacked? Not yet. Not yet. Now. So this ball's got to come out fast. And, when you want to create these opportunities for pressures and big plays like this, you want this guy. And, Jameis Winston knows he's not outrunning anybody, so he's probably getting rid of the ball a bit faster. So, going to be an interesting game, though. This is going to be an interesting game for all the reasons we said in the commentary. Do you get that new coach bump? If they get that new coach bump, this could be a real interesting game. If not, this could be heavily, heavily favored for the Packers. So, like you see on tape, I think there's opportunities on both sides of the football. Obviously, you want to exploit what they're not being able to do as far as stopping the run. You see that a lot of their, either whether they're in man or in zone, especially when you break the pocket, do they plaster the guys really well? A lot of the deeper stuff in the medium range stuff is open. I am surprised. Look, I think you build that defense based on the pass rush you think you're going to get. And if you don't get it consistently, you obviously end up with some issues. And I think that's maybe what happened the last couple of weeks. When you look at their offense, it's Jameis Winston's in the house now, guys. And let's not forget how good of a thrower of the football he is, or at least was last time we saw him. I do think there's vulnerability at the offensive line. I think it's impossible to sit here and say you're averaging 21 points per game. You've got your starting running back, your starting quarterback, and your arguably your best player on offense, Malik Neighbors at wide receiver, are out. And now we think you're going to, have this big output against a Green Bay team who's been playing really, really well on defense. Like, I feel good about this. I think everybody else should as well. It's more a go into the game, and this is a you always want to think it's a get back on the saddle game because we've had kind of 2 bad weeks in a row, particularly on offense. But there is a real threat across the defensive line, particularly inside with Dexter Lawrence. Now, obviously their starter across from him has been hurt. They've been playing 91, Darius Alexander, the rookie 3rd-round pick, who I like. They also play 95 in there, who is is serviceable. But figuring out Dexter Lawrence, particularly if he's healthy and engaged in this game, the thing that we're getting into in this part of the season, look, it's easy to say you're a pro play. If you're 2-8, or you're 2-8, 2-6, and your team is just not playing well, and you just fired your head coach, usually what happens in these games is you get a 2 or 3 game bump in performance. Bring in a new guy. Hey, we feel bad because we got our old coach fired if they liked him. And we want to show that this new guy, like we like the new guy, we believe in him. Like usually when the owner, the general manager, the team president, when they hire the next interim guy, it's usually a dude that everyone's like, oh yeah, he's the natural pick. He's the natural guy. He's a leader, blah, 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 blah. So you're going to get this bump regardless. Like this happened with me with Dan Campbell in Miami. He was the tight ends coach. So you've got all these other coaches that are maybe like in the, I don't know, on the org chart, maybe up higher, but you're like natural leader. And you can see what he's obviously done in Detroit. And we got a 3 game bump. We kicked everybody's ass for 3 games, but then you revert back to the main different part of the story. We're experiencing that right now. So it'll be really interesting to see how these guys come out and adapt to this new situation, adapt to the media scrutiny to this week, adapt to all the questions about losing their head coach and how they played their head coach out of a job effectively, because that's the bottom line truth when you're in this business. And then see if they rally behind this Mike Kafka guy, and he does a great job calling the plays with Jameis Winston. Maybe that's a better fit. I don't know. Obviously, like they had to stack him over Russell Wilson. Now, you watched the last game, you know why, but intuitively you say it even beforehand. Like, what is Jameis Winston doing being a 3rd guy anywhere? He's a pretty damn good thrower of the football. So I think I'm not saying this is a trap game. I'm not saying I just think this is a really interesting game because of those scenarios. I think that actually makes them I think they're more dangerous this week than they were last week, if that makes sense. Because I think like when you're a wounded animal, you strike out a little bit more. And certainly when you get rid of your head coach, like you are, regardless whether you thought about the guy, like that is making a direct statement about how your lack of performance is impacting the lives of other people, and that does affect you. So guys, enjoy this game. We'll get back to business next week. After it, we're gonna do a little review show, answer the questions you have. Guys, keep sending the questions, and I really appreciate that. It gives me some food for thought. I love talking football with all of you. So hopefully you're enjoying it as well. Hit the subscribe button on this Process to Perform channel for me. Thank you very much for watching the show. See you next week.